Draw simple, easy.
Well, hello there everybody. Today we're going to be drawing a quick, simple, easy picture of Zeno from Hunter x Hunter. This is of course Killua's grandfather and part of the assassin's family. So he's got a very crouched over look to him, this guy. And what we're going to do is start by having his head over to the right. The body's going to be off to the left. So go ahead and start by drawing yourself a fairly sort of medium-sized circle somewhere slightly over to the right of your page. And we're going to make this mostly the top part of his head, and he's going to be facing off to the right as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just half this circle, something like so, at this angle, because the head's going to be tilted down a bit. And I'm going to take this distance and really just add on a little bit more and drop down again like so. And again, I'm just following this circle curve around. And then over on the right hand, I'm going to map this circle as if it's a sphere by going right down the middle, just over to this side. When I get to this halfway point, I'm just going to make that line straighten out and just keep going down all the way past that line to around about here. And that's where we're going to have the point of his chin. So using this line that we've just got in here, which is obviously half this circle again, take that chin point and just work your way back up. This is going to be our jawline, and as we work up and meet around here, it's then going to sort of hook back up. It wants to go up towards this circle and fill everything in, but this halfway stage here and the edge of the circle here are going to actually just fit in a very loose ear shape, just something like that. Lovely. Now on the right hand side, if we imagine this line coming up like so, it's going to curve out a little, come back in as it aims towards the circle before going out again and following this circle shape. And the reason why we're mapping it like this is because we've got a very heavy brow to this character. So I'm using the halfway point of the sphere to actually map a brow that drops down towards the bottom of the circle, follows that curve around. Where it comes into about here, we're actually going to have Zeno's nose. So I'm going to map about round about here, a point which is going to be halfway between the bottom of the circle and where we've got this jawline curve coming in. This curve here basically telling us where the jaw stops going down and starts coming in. Halfway is going to be where the nose drops to. And that nose is a fairly sort of straight line, but just hooks out a little bit to the right at the end. So I'm going to go fairly straight down, then just hook out just to the right, very much at the end like so. And that will come back in like this. Now following this brow curve all the way around, if you imagine a slight gap, some crease around here, and this brow is then going to go all the way back up in this direction, something like so. And that allows us just to know that we're going to pop one of his eyes just below here, and again this is just above the bottom inside edge of the circle, and we're just going to start by having a line that comes out like so. And then the eye is going to be created by dropping a curve underneath, but then goes fairly straight back in like that. And then on this side as well, it's something very similar. There's probably a curve that just comes around here. He's got very small eyes, this character, but very large sort of eye socket zones, a bit of astigmatism also, it's almost. So around this eye, imagine we've got a big circle. Just like this, a big circular shape here, and also around about there. And that's going to be sort of the bags under his eyes for us. We're going to just mark in just a line here as well, and one up the top that comes in like so, as well as just the little bits, the hood of the eye, and as well as that, a few just wrinkles, 1, 2, 3, that just come off around the side. Then we get a line here that just shows the cheekbone, just by basically bringing in a slight curve there and bringing that down. It's quite sunken, his cheeks. And then now that we've got a lot of that into shape, we can go halfway between the bottom of the nose and the chin, again using this curving line here. And I'm just going to use this zone to be where we're going to draw in his mouth. Very unimpressed look to him. If I imagine the center of this eye mapping down the side of the face, I know then that this will be the outer limit of his mouth. So it's hooking up and then just going down like so. Again, a line underneath just to show the thickness of the bottom lip. And then in this instance, just an edge around the top to show the top lip as well. Hopefully that's all nice and in focus. And we'll have maybe an eye that's just looking up towards us here. And now we get to play around with these amazing eyebrows. So where we've got this brow line just roughly mapped in, we're actually going to hook all the way up here, all the way back round, pointing towards the ear as we do so. And then you can just kind of really put all sorts of jaggedy hair pattern onto this, whatever you see fit. I'm just going to go ahead and just give it that kind of zigzag jaggedy pattern at the top and let it just smooth in towards the bottom edge. And then same up on this side, it's really going to just hook right up and then just off the side of the face like so. We better have another eyeball right in there as he looks back across at us. Great. A very wrinkly forehead, so what we're going to do here is just have a crease line that goes up the forehead as well. Something like this. Actually, let's have it back instead of forward, like that. And then just a few wrinkle marks and crease lines just coming up like so. Then just get your tragus on the ear in like that, just a little divot here, and hook up and around the ear, follow it very loosely around to create that shape, and a couple curving shapes on the inside to show the shape of the ear. And we've almost covered the majority of his face already. Now let's get this hairline going. If we imagine the top points of his eyebrows are going to be the lowest point of the hairline right at the front middle, and it's quite a widow's peak he's got, so we're just going to curve up around and back like this, and then back into a curve around about here. So it curves back, up and around. Imagine that hair's spiking all the way up, peaks back there, comes back in, and then a similar thing on the other side like this. And then all of his hair is very much like the way Hisoka has his haircut. Gino has a very similar one, or Zeno I should say, but with much more body. So I'm going to go ahead and imagine a strand at the front. This will be like a guiding strand. It just curves up and back and just turns off into a point somewhere. And then more strands that just show the flow of the hair going off and back. Again, coming out from the side maybe, shooting off and back like this. On the right, very similar thing again, just creating this pattern and just showing that it bulges out from the front first before coming back. And the more we do this, the more we're actually filling in his hair. This doesn't have to be perfect, yours doesn't have to be exact, but you will notice I'm coming out a far way. The distance across his actual head here, the skull, we're almost going that entire distance behind, just to show that the hair is going off at all sorts of crazy angles. So maybe there's a very big point here that reaches back behind the ear like so. And we'll start with these really loose ones and then just really keep building it in. So I'll get maybe a few lines of hair like that. A couple bits that actually just peek out like so. And get round to the neck. And then up here, similar things. Jagged points of hair. Bits of hair curving out. All of this going all over the place. Couple triangle finishes around about there. Bits of the hair coming off here as well. And over on this side, also just blooming out, doing whatever it wants to. As such. So, once we've got all that old silver grey man hair out of the way, two more bits. Let's get in his moustache. Go right above that lip. And just create a shape, follows it off the edge, and then this just drops down and kind of floats away and does its own thing to around about this point here, nice and long. And then I'm just going to give that a bit of a thick shape before following that guideline back in, and at the end just a couple bits to show that it's hair pointing off and away. And then on this side there's a very similar thing as well, just coming off of this edge but dropping a bit more directly down. Similar style, bit thicker at the bottom. And then we'll have a few spikes off of there as well. So the neck to this character goes off to the left. I'm going to reach from the ear point and I'm going to reach from around about here on the jaw and just get a cylinder shape in, just to show where the head's coming off from. And this circle is going to be the circle of circles, by which I mean, imagine you've got another circle around about here. This is going to be the collar of his clothing. Another circle is coming in from here and dropping quite low and around, and this is going to be the gold actual band that he wears over his top, this heavy sort of gold choker or circlet. And to give that some depth, we're going to get another line that just follows that shape once more, coming around like so, staying a fairly equal distance from that line until it vanishes a little bit off round the back up here. So then it's going to just curve in a little bit more. That chin I'm going to give some more point, and I think I'm just going to bring this line that I've done much further up in like so. There we go. Got a use for the eraser after all. Just like that. Get that curve as natural as we can. And what we've got here with this inside line is just a guiding point for a bit of a pattern of his top. It actually just is this weird in-out kind of shape that comes all the way around here. Kind of reminds me of the Imperial symbol from Star Wars. Out and around and back in. And then the rest of his body is just going to slope off to the left. So now that I've got this kind of zone in, I'm just going to create an arc for his back that comes around here. And if you imagine this curve gently just comes all the way around. He's not hunchbacked, but he's very leant over, like so. And then the front of his body as well, really just off like this. It's almost very weird. It looks like he's just coming out of, his head's popping out the front of a sandworm or a curving cannon or something. But that is the rough flow of his body. So to kind of make that work, we're going to put a nice big circle right here, right to the left, to indicate a shoulder. And what I'm going to do is actually indicate how his top kind of creates a triangle point here before coming down. And I'm just going to recreate that line slightly over to the right as well, just to create some trim. And that line just kind of cuts back in somewhere. And that means we can have his arm just being this rough shape that comes off to the left. Now his arm, essentially, if we go with something like that, is folded behind his back. That's how he likes to walk. So we're just going to put some folds in this material instead, just by getting some zigzag lines, just like so. And again, when it comes to material folds, doesn't need to be perfect, just need to have an idea of what's going on. And that's going to rumple ever so slightly on the bottom as well, but mostly just gives you the idea of some different material to the clothes. And then where we've got this top coming down here, it's just going to branch out slightly at the back. And at the front, we're just going to map on here, ever so slightly, that sign that he wears down the front of his top. We're not going to be able to see the kanji on here, but I'm just going to map that out very loosely as well. And then some lines just to show that all this material is tucking and pulling. Now on this gold band, we've got just a few divots that go up and around the back like so, and follow down around here as it goes off. And then that is essentially it. So this is a very rough example. We spent most of our time mapping out the face. That's the main area. And his whole hunched forward, leaning, strolling, contemplating attitude is in the rest of his stance. So I hope you found this to be useful. I'm just going to make sure that's all still in focus. Lovely. I'm going to drop into a time lapse just so that you can really see what's going on with all the shapes of the face. It'll be much clearer once I've got that in pen. The nose, I'm just going to add a little bit of nostril around about there. Just make sure I'm not missing any of the finer details up here on the face. And I might just kind of make this arm stop a little bit sooner as it disappears off around the body, and just really highlight exactly what's going on here with this band down the front that's just folded flat against the chest. And this golden bar is going to have some depth to it, some thickness. Let's get an extra thin line coming in there as well, following around. Bit of neck muscle just to show that that cylinder's actually shape. The hair meets the back of the head like so, and then we've pretty much got it all sorted in place. Alright guys, I'll see you in just a sec. And there we have it, a nice quick simple picture of Zeno from Hunter x Hunter. So I'm going to go ahead and just give this a fairly simple pale flesh tone. His hair is kind of silver and with a hint of purple as well when I scan and colour that in. And obviously he's got this very dark purple blue top, white garments underneath, a white kind of banner I guess that hangs off of the front, and this circlet is going to be in a reflective gold colour as well. I hope you guys found this useful for drawing your own characters at home. I hope you followed along. Don't forget you can always submit your artwork to my Facebook page, and if I like what you've got going on I'll post it for everyone to see. And if you haven't already, get subscribed in the channel, hit that like button and check out the Patreon as well. Take care guys, I'll see you next week. Bye bye.